would be pretty bad to disappear completely. So that is not a good thing, and that is kind of what's happening here. But we'll find out exactly here in the IMDb plot. After visiting a crime scene, an ambitious and insensitive tabloid crime photographer falls victim to a mysterious illness that makes him lose, one by one, his five senses. All right. Yeah, so he might be disappearing. This is a new one on coming to Netflix. Should be on Netflix by the time this review is out. But April 12th is the date, so that's where you can find it. It is a new film, so I will try to keep this fairly spoiler-free as possible. And also let you guys know that I was sent a screener to this. So, so that you guys know that has taken place as well. I should also mention that this is a Mexican film, and it is in Spanish, and I obviously saw it largely in subtitled English. So just to let you guys know all those things in advance here. So yeah, it definitely an interesting job this guy has, a creepy job this guy has. Santiago, I believe is his name, and he is that. He is a crime photographer. He is, almost paparazzi-like, and he is going to crime scenes and kind of sneaking his way on there. He's kind of befriended a lot of the policemen, and can kind of sweet talk his way in where he shouldn't be. And if he can't, a few extra dollars or money changing hands here kind of gets him in the door or past the crime scene rope or whatever you want, tape, and allows him to kind of get in the scene and get his pictures out in time before he gets in trouble. So he's there, and you see him, especially right off the bat when the movie starts, and he's right into a scene. You kind of see what he does, and he's right next to a dead body there, and he's snapping away, with a regular old school camera here. I know everybody's used to using their phones these days, but yeah, he's got an actual camera. That's what that thing is, if in case you forgot. And he is snapping away, and of a dead body here, and of the crime scene, and eventually going back to I don't know if it was a newspaper, magazine, or so forth. I think it was a kind of combination of and they're publishing articles with his pictures in it, and that's what he does. Definitely not a job probably for everybody. It is tough, seeing a dead body and nonetheless trying to take pictures and getting all that done. Obviously, horror-wise, we've kind of seen some movies with cameras and that kind of thing before, and obviously that opens the door. Taking pictures of dead bodies, I'm sure, can open the door to many of a horror kind of thing going on here. And depending on what you believe and what the story is, and we'll find out a little bit more about the story here in a second. But as I kind of see that, I just think that that's just a bad idea. I mean, obviously it happens. We see it on the news. We see the news, videotaping, crime scenes all the time. But yeah, that's, he's getting pretty close. He's very close. So yeah, he's if this didn't happen to him, he's lucky, some ghost didn't follow him home or whatever. But anyway, yeah, so we see him in action. We see him at a couple of scenes early on, and, they're a little bit different. And but he's there, and he's doing the same thing, paying off police and getting close and taking pictures, until he stumbles into the one crime scene he probably shouldn't have. And this one's a little more darker and creepier, and the body's kind of laid out, and has some interesting things going on to this body here. and of course he's snapping away, and it's he's in there with one other cop, and this cop kind of walks away, and it's kind of dark and creepy, and all of a sudden he's gonna get a scare, and maybe you will too, and this kind of opens the door from this point on to other stuff happening. This crime scene was a little bit different, and something a little bit different happens to him. But he's obviously gonna make it through and go home. Blah blah blah. He has a girlfriend or so forth there that he goes home to. She's I believe a nurse, and so she's not always there, not always around. They work different times. But you will see her a few moments, a few times in the film. And he's also got a dog, and that's always good. Good to have a dog around. He has a very good, cool name for his dog. I didn't catch it at first, and I'm like, oh, he named his dog. That's pretty cool. I'll let you guys, I won't spoil that for you. I'll let you guys catch the name of the dog there. Which reminded me I wanted to ask people that on Twitter, but whatever. Anyway, now is the point where some weird stuff is going to start happening to him. He's going to start seeing things. Is it real? Is it not real? His mind is going to start playing tricks on him. Before, as it's mentioned in the plot there, that his senses are going to start to go a little at a time. Obviously, his most important ones aren't going to go first. Obviously, he's going to be able to see, for a while and hear. But his other three senses are probably going to go first. And, this is, I should also say the movie takes course over a week's time. They do kind of count it down for you. So you kind of know how many days are passing here. And so obviously he's getting more and more freaked out as this goes on. He's getting checked. Obviously his girlfriend's a nurse, so he's asking her. But he's trying to figure out what is happening to him and how he can fix it. Medical wise, obviously that's not going to work. So then he kind of has to go that route of the spiritual, and he goes and sees somebody about that, and we see if that person can kind of solve the thing, solve this for him. So definitely we're going to kind of get into that dark element and that dark realm as the movie goes on, and of spirits, and can they draw that out, and there's a whole ritual that goes on, and so we're going to kind of go down that route as well. So this movie's going to kind of give you a little bit of different things. It's going to probably try to jump scare you. It sure as hell is going to try to jump scare him. He's definitely going to get scared a couple of times. You may or may not, depending. And like I said, because he's not sure what he's seeing at certain times, and seeing some stuff that may or may not be there. And then it will, again, kind of take that cultural, spiritual route and see if, that could solve his problem. And obviously he's kind of cursed, or there's something going on there. And is he going to be able to rid himself of that before he loses all five of his senses and like the title says, disappear completely? There's a little bit of also, mentioning that there's crime scenes here and so forth. And obviously this all happens. It started at one of the crime scenes that he was at. And, we'll find out a little bit more about how he got it and what's going on there, towards the end of the film. I don't get too much into that because that gets into spoiler territory. But basically, yeah, it is a race of time. Like I said, the movie takes place over a course of a week. So obviously he has not a lot of time to figure out what is going on, who has cursed him, and how can he get rid of it or not. So it is going to give you a little bit of that horror. Like I said, a little bit of jump scare horror. It is not too much about murder and death. Obviously, the people who are already dead who are dead that he's taking pictures of are usually already dead. We don't really get to see too much of how they're dying. But like I said, they are going to try to jump scare you with some of the visions and stuff that he's seeing. And so there is that. It is, it says body horror, folk horror, and horror here at IMDb, and I think that definitely does cover the bases. Um, what else to say? I thought they did a good job. I will say, I just have to say that, I've taken 2 trips to Mexico, and they actually filmed part of this film in one of the places I went, so I thought that was interesting to kind of see, and that's just a personal note. And it might be a scene if you've seen other a couple other movies. I know there's at least 1 or 2 that I've seen have also filmed there, and it's basically the scene when he gets on the boat. I was there, and I've seen that used in that location in another horror movie or two. So that was interesting. That's just a personal side note. But yeah, it is that kind of movie. If you're not too familiar with this one, we did put out the press release on Promote Horror. But it is that kind of horror. It's kind of going to give you a little bit of mix of the jump scares, but then kind of go into that, person is cursed, can we solve the curse kind of thing. I thought it was interesting way to go, interesting that, when he's losing his senses there. And, it wasn't fairly obvious, right at the start, what was happening. And that he was losing his senses, and so forth. It comes a point where they do a good job. He, like I said, he's going to he meets with somebody who tries to, spiritually and kind of do that, ritual thing to get rid of it. When he's kind of talking with this person, they really do a good job. Not only is he getting filled in on what's going on here, but that is your opportunity to basically really, if you're not really sure what's going on, to really get in tuned with the curse and what is happening here. So that is definitely a conversation that you'll want to pay attention to, because that's going to kind of set you up with what is happening to him, and what he has to do to kind of maybe get over it or maybe not. But definitely an interesting way to go, losing your senses. And yeah, that's not a good thing, not a good thing at all. And it is tough, and obviously he has a short time to figure it out. There's a little bit of a sad moment, a moment horror fans don't always want to see in this movie either, but yeah, it happens. And yeah, so I thought it was a really good job here. And it is good to, I know Netflix does a decent job of putting some, foreign horror out there. So, like I said, husband's obviously from Mexico, so having to do a different place and a different perspective here, from here, and as far as the curse and so forth. So I thought they did a good job, good combination there. Obviously, a good story, very interesting, starting, like I said, this guy has an interesting job. And, I like to see sometimes, characters have different jobs than we're used to, and so forth, in these movies. So this is definitely one, like I said at the top, we've seen movies with cameras and so forth before, but not so many with someone with the actual job of doing this. He's definitely had an interesting job, and I think that's what kind of intrigued me to kind of start, especially, and showing him take these pictures. Definitely creepy in itself. But I liked the story. I really, really liked the story behind it. Who he is, what he does, and then him getting this curse of losing the 5 senses, and and then the title kind of rounds it out nicely, with him disappearing, or with your senses disappearing, and so forth. So I think this is one that you guys might not have heard of and know a lot about. But if for those who have Netflix, and then I would imagine, after it runs on Netflix, it might end up in some other places. But definitely for you guys out there that have Netflix and looking for something new on there, and are not afraid of watching some of the foreign films that are on there, I definitely think you guys should put this on your list. I'm going to give it 3.5 pools of blood. Like I said, I really liked the story, and thought they did a pretty good job with it. And they cover, several bases of horror here. And yeah, poor guy. He get, and he's also a character that you may or may not like. I mean, he's kind of doing some shady stuff in doing his pictures. So they present. Yeah, I don't think he's a character you're necessarily gonna hate, but you're almost like, hey, that's what you get for taking these pictures. But whatever, still, maybe a little extreme there with as far as that, but he's gonna make some mistakes and so forth. So and he's a little rough around the edges with his girlfriend, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'm gonna give it 3.5 pools of blood, and that is out of 5. So I encourage you again to check this one out on Netflix. So horror_reviews.blogspot.com is where you can check out all of my reviews, written and video, obviously largely video of late. So you can like, subscribe, and do all those things that everybody wants you to do. If not, no worries, it is okay. But if you do get a chance, swing over to the short section as well and have some fun there. Try to keep you entertained and give you some information, have some fun there. So Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. Reach out to me there if you have a film you want me to watch, review. Do the best I can to get them out as fast as I can. You want to talk horror, obviously, I'm definitely game for that anytime. And down in the comment section, once you guys check this out, feel free to leave your comments there. Let me know if you enjoyed it, if this is one that you weren't aware of and that you kind of snuck in there based on this review or kind of seeing the information here or promote horror. Let me know that you did and you caught wind of it and you watched it and hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, of course, let others know that it's out there and available. So with that, I guess I will catch you in the next review, horror fans.